Yo, what's good, people? It's Jay Cactus, and we're back again with episode 19 of Cactus Convos. In today's episode, I've got a sick producer and engineer with me. He's made a huge name for himself through social media and making music. He's the OG of FL Studio tutorials on Instagram, and he goes by Larry O. Larry, what's good, my bro?
Hey, thank you, bro. Thanks for having me here. Appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Appreciate you coming on.
No problem.
But man, the first thing that I wanted to ask you is about the legendary tag that you've got. Am I right in saying that you got that from Swill, from the Michael Dapper series?
Yeah, It started off there, and it started off as an inside joke between me and a couple of friends, and we just we're saying it like the same way that he said it, you know, like in conversation, and then it just somehow made its way into my videos. I don't even know, like it made its way into my content, and then just became like a thing where people were starting to, you know, say it back in the comments. They would say it to me in person because I did a lot of content, you know, before the tutorial stuff where it was based around beat making stuff. And I would see people at local shows here in Rhode Island, and they would just like come up to me and just say it like all the time.
That's crazy.
I know I was like onto something.
Because I'm obviously quite familiar with the show Swill. He's based in the UK, Michael Dapper, isn't he? He's a G over here, so it's quite funny. I think it was the Cymatics podcast that I heard you say it on, or it was somewhere.
Yeah, I've definitely said it on a couple of podcasts. Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm a huge fan of his. We started like stumbling on his content because of the Man's Not Hot song.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even realize that he had a variety show like that. I was like, yo, this dude's wild. So we started like watching a whole bunch of his content, and then we just started dying laughing at that segment, like the Uber driver segment specifically. But he's like the Uber driver. I can't
remember his name as the Uber driver, but then he's got the character Patrick as he's like a traffic warden or a police officer or something.
Yeah.
He's jokes. It's crazy when that song, That Man's Not Hot, came out, because I just took over the UK. That was getting played on all radios. It was getting played in clubs. And everyone who didn't really know about him and his comedy were like, oh, is this guy serious? Everyone thought he was like being serious, trying to rap, but no one really realized it was it was just an act. You know what I mean? It was just one of his characters.
Yeah. That's awesome how that blew up. That's so dope.
Yeah, definitely. Man, so how have you been these days anyway? It's been a crazy couple of years for you.
Yeah, man, I've been great. You know, just grinding, you know, just trying to build a brand, just trying to teach producers like you, bro. Just like, you know how the grind is.
We're all learning.
Yeah, we're all learning every day still. You know, I'm still learning every day. I watch a lot of your content. I watch a lot of other producers' content out there. I'm still learning every day. And I like to pass the information that I have learned over the last like 15, 16 years of producing and being around music, and just sharing that with the producer community. You know? Yeah.
The crazy thing about producing is no matter how long you've been producing, you'll never know everything. Like sometimes people get comfortable and they've been making beats for a certain amount of years, and then they're like, I don't need to watch tutorials anymore. Like, I know everything now, but it's just not the case, is it?
It's not.
How long have you been making beats? What, 10, 15 years, did you say?
About 15, between 15 and 17 years. I just lost track at this point, you know? Like, that's what's so fun about being a producer, is that it's always changing. It's always changing, and it's always evolving, and there's always something new to learn. Somebody is always starting a new trend, or, you know, a new way of producing, a new genre. People are blending genres. Like, I mean, look at how, like, you know, especially how drill evolved over the last few years, just from where it started to where it's at now. People are blending drill with other genres, and drill was already a combination of a few genres already. Now they're taking, you know, you're taking drill and you're mixing R&B, and you're making R&B drill and trap drill and New York and UK drill. And it's wild, man. That's why music is so dope, and it's producing in general, because that, you know, sets the tone for the, you know, for the industry.
Definitely. Yeah, you're right. It's one of those things that there'll never be a level where you've like, right, I've completed production now, because it just keeps evolving. Like,
exactly.
Even little things like the sound, like even a few years ago, people, even like if you think about the way people were mixing like kicks a few years ago, like I feel like the soft clipper only became like a viral thing a couple of years ago. So before that, everyone's kicks were a little bit softer, but now everyone's whacking the shit out of the kicks.
I know it takes like one song to really blow up, I think, you know, or a couple. and producers especially, because, you know, we have that ear where we're like, yo, how the hell did they get their kicks to hit like that? Is it a sample they used? Are they sound designing it? Are they throwing a plug-in on it? Like, how are they getting it to sound like that? And then once we find that out, a lot of us, like you, like me, we share it. And that's once it gets shared and it gets spread like that, then it even starts evolving from there, because somebody will take that. And I know you're familiar with that too. Like, you'll take that one little idea and flip it into your own. Like, yo, I learned this from so-and-so, throw the soft clipper on the kick, but I took it up a notch and I tried layering it with this, or throwing this extra plugin on there. That's why it's
definitely.
Producing is,
and I think
crazy.
Maybe a few years ago as well, like, people weren't sharing as much. Maybe not a few years ago, but even like 5 years ago, people weren't sharing as much as people share now. Like, there used to be this producer mentality where it's like, right, I've got the sauce, I'm not going to share it with anyone. But now it feels like more and more people are open to sharing what they've learned.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think more people are actually open to sharing? There's still a few people that are, you know, a bit strange with it, and they're like, no, I'm not telling him what contact bank I'm using.
To be honest, I think, you know, there's some people that are not being super genuine. Like, I think they might be doing it for the wrong reason sometimes. You know, you see a couple here and there where you're like, damn, they're just doing it to try to get views. I think that's where a lot of it is coming from now. I do think producers are, and that's, you know, looking at it from that perspective. But from the perspective of, I think a lot of producers just want to share more now. I think they're learning that helping other producers is just going to help everybody in the long run. It's going to help create better music in the long run. It's going to help strengthen the community, strengthen the producer industry. And, you know, you could build a better brand around it too, because you're helping, you're adding value, you're providing value to the producer community.
Definitely. I think that's the key, isn't it? With any business that you've got, is to lead with value. And I'm sure you've experienced this from giving out so many tutorials, but it can just benefit you in so many ways. Obviously, it has to be genuine, but I bet you've had so many messages from people that have maybe given opportunities to you and been like, you know what, those tutorials that you've put out have been so helpful. I've learned so much. Let me do this for you. Or they might have hooked you up with I don't know, it could have been like a free plugin, a free drum kit, like a collab, anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's happening
out and it comes back.
Yeah, man. It definitely comes back. It comes back in, you know, just like compensation wise, brands and bigger companies start to reach out and they want you to do a sponsored video. It helps in a lot of different ways. Now I'm connecting with industry producers that have told me that, like, you know, my videos have helped them. And these are producers that have, you know, Grammy, or they have Billboard hits. And I'm like confused. I'm like, what? Like, you're watching like my videos, like you already have hits. You have hits. But yeah, it's wild, man. And it comes back in so many different ways, and it's just amazing. And that's what keeps me going every day, is the fact that I'm helping the producer community. I can help other producers no matter what level they're at. Yeah. You know, and it helps me too, because now that I'm driven to do this on a daily basis, I'm really in it. I'm really paying attention to everything. I already was, but now it's on a different level. I'm really watching everything. You know, I'm sure like you and a lot of other producers that make content, we're just out, we're watching what everybody's doing, you know, and it helps us become better producers. Definitely. Because if you're putting out so much content as well, you can't put out the same content all the time. So you want to learn new tricks yourself to share with other people. So you're constantly looking for new stuff, constantly trying new things, experimenting, just, you know, layering stuff that you might not have layered before. Just any little trick just to find a hidden gem and then be like, shit, this works. I'm going to share it with everyone. Yeah. And even if you're just not getting anything back for it, sometimes there's no better feeling than when someone messages you and they say, you know, that tutorial that you put out really helped me. It's elevated me. My beats are on another level. I ended up landing a placement because of these tricks. You know what I mean? And you've just helped this person. Like, that's the best. This random person halfway across the world who you never would have heard of before. That's the best. Crazy feeling. That's why I got into it. You know, and that right there is the reason I got into it, because I started getting that locally, and I started getting that reaction because I was running a recording studio basically. You know, before I started going heavy with the tutorials, and I would just try to teach those artists every like little trick and tip that I've learned along the way, whether it was about performing, because I was in a band, so I had a background in performing on stage, performing in the studio, just anything I could. And that really has transitioned into me, you know, doing the tutorials online. That right there, that reaction, be like, yo, Larry, that feedback, that advice that you gave me is really working. Like, you know, I'm landing shows now. I'm getting paid for shows now. Like, this is, you know, something. So that reaction right there is the reason why I keep going. Like that DM from somebody in India who says, you know, I helped them with their beats and now they're starting to sell beats for the first time. That's what it's all about.
It's a priceless feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. It's awesome.
It really is. Well, I bet when you were an engineer and you were giving that much value to people, I bet that helped you so much, because there might be certain engineers that are out there who will they're just in it purely for the money. It's just like, all right, pay me however many dollars it is. They just want to sit there, hit record, not really say anything, and then boom, just, you know, get out of the session, on to the next person. But because you were more like, sounds like you were really like hands-on, and if the artist was like saying a word in a particular way, you'd be like, you know what, I think you should put more emphasis on this word, or, you know, just giving them performance advice. Then they would have come out of that session and been like, fuck, like my track would have come out fire, but he's just brought it to the next level because of this advice that he's giving me. And then they're going to start telling other people and being like, yo, this is the engineer you need to go to. And they're going to keep coming back to you because they fuck with you so much. Was that the case?
Yeah.
When you were engineering?
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it all happened. That's how I started creating a nice clientele. And I was like super picky about who I worked with. I didn't really want to have anybody completely random in. I would go to a lot of local shows. I was involved in a lot of local shows too, because I was in, like I said, I was in a band before. And then I was in a duo with my homie Peter Piffin, and we did like this EDM hip hop mashup. So we played a lot of shows as well. And I would get clients just from being at these shows, and I would meet them face to face. They heard about me through so-and-so, and they're like, yo, Larry's mixes come out crazy. He's super involved. That's just how it kind of grew from there. And then I started getting a lot of clients that I knew personally from shows and just word of mouth. But I think what helped me become a better engineer is the fact that I was a producer as well. And I was in a band, and I was a musician. And that really, I think, took my engineering and mixing to the next level. It wasn't just me pushing record and throwing an EQ and a compressor on and just making it sound clean. It was me really diving into those mixes, you know, making them dynamic and making them sound like an actual finished song and not just somebody that slapped their vocals on an MP3 or a wave beat. You know, it's really taking that to the next level and making it sound like a finished product, a finished, polished song.
Definitely. Yeah, there's 100% a difference. Which one came first? Did you start producing first? Were you in the band first, or was it engineering?
I started making beats first. I started making beats first on like FL Studio 4. And then I had this like crappy laptop where I started making beats on. I was learning a lot, was reading a lot of forums, watching videos if they were available at that time. And then I learned drums. And me knowing beats beforehand helped me out with drums. So I kind of caught on to drums a lot faster than I would have if I wasn't making beats before, because I knew how to, you know, I knew a 4 count. I knew where the snares should land. I knew where the kicks and hi-hats should land. So it was just a matter of getting that coordination. But I wish I started way earlier playing drums, because I think once you hit a certain age, your brain is just kind of locked in. But it took me.
That's supposed to be the same with any instrument, isn't it? I think even with like learning piano, people say, I don't know if it's the way like your fingers like developed or what, but there's meant to be something about if you're young and you start learning piano, it's just obviously supposed to be a lot
that coordination,
isn't it?
Yeah, that coordination. I think your brain isn't fully there yet, where you're fully left-handed or fully right-handed. So I think it's easier to kind of mold that at an earlier age. It's harder to break it at a later age, but you can with practice. I mean, you can get anywhere. It doesn't matter, but definitely. It's just that you have to practice a lot harder at an older age.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, so beats came first, drums came next, and then engineering came shortly after that, where I started like recording my own band, and then we got a studio, and then I started recording some clients here and there to make extra money, so I didn't have to work a normal job at some point. Yeah.
Like, do you ever work a normal job?
I did.
Or was it always music?
Yeah, I did. I worked a normal job, and then I was working full time at a paper plant where they made boxes, and I was driving a forklift. And that was the last job I had, but that was like maybe 10, 12 years ago. 10 years ago, I think, 12 years ago.
Right.
That was probably the last real job I had. I quit that, got out of there, and then just went music full time, just trying to grind any way I could, and tried building a clientele, selling beats, just hustling, selling beats. I was working the doors at shows, just any little thing I could do involved in music to make some money. I didn't want to do anything else besides music. So if it was me recording people and making a couple bucks an hour, like $15, $20 an hour, that was good enough for me. I was paying some bills. I was happy.
Definitely. You'd rather do that than work in the, like the forklift that you were working in before.
Yeah, I was making good money. I was making good money doing that, but I was not happy at all. So I would do anything I could to get out of that lifestyle. Anything. I was so miserable, bro. So miserable. So I had to get out of it.
That's the story for a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the story for me a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was the same, just working in a job that I hated for like 5 years. And then I was just like willing to do anything to get out of it. So when I left, I was trying everything. Same thing. I was mixing, but I was like trying to sell beats and offering a free mix with every beat lease. The beat leases were like $30. So I was doing like a mix and a beat for $30. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro, you got to do it.
I was willing to do anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the stuff you have to do at the start, isn't it? Like, you just have to try anything to get your name out there. So what made you start the Instagram tutorials then? So if you were running studio sessions, trying to sell beats, what made you jump to tutorials?
So a couple of friends would tell me, yo, like, you got to do tutorials. And I was like, I had that, what are they calling it now? Like imposter syndrome, where I was like, who am I to teach? Right. Who am I to teach other producers? I don't think I'm the best out here. So why would I teach? I was just, self-conscious about it. And then one day I was in the studio with an artist recording, and I was just telling him, he was just watching me. He was watching me edit vocals. Yeah. And he's like, yo, bro, like I've been to other studios and nobody ever does that. Nobody ever goes into those layers and lines those vocals up. Nobody ever does that. So then I don't know what sparked in my head. I don't really know, but I had the screen recording software. I just screen recorded me doing that. No voice, no voiceover, nothing. Just me chopping and lining vocals. And if you go back to my Instagram and you scroll all the way down.
Is that the first video?
That was the first video. There was no voiceover. It was just a caption on the top, and it said, make sure your engineer is doing this. And it was just me chopping and lining layers of vocals up. And it got like so many more views than any other of my videos have ever gotten, and at that time it might've been a few thousand, but I wasn't getting those types of views on my videos. So then that sparked the idea, like maybe I should really do these tutorials. And then my next video was how to do a reverse reverb effect. Because I knew that was a popular effect that nobody really even knew what to call at that time. Like, so I did that, and that one got like 10 or 20,000 views, and I'm like, that's it. I have to keep doing this. I'm like, this is the thing that's working.
That's a good start. Second video in.
Yeah, right. And just not to go off of views alone, but I saw that people in the comments were really getting value from it. The views is just, that's a byproduct of the value. You're getting views. It means something's working, and not to go solely off the views, because I had no idea that I would turn this, the tutorial thing into a full-time career that would, financially like be great for me. I had no clue. I just knew that I was providing a lot of value to people, and they were connecting with it and they were learning from it. So I was like, I got to keep doing this. So I wanted to get to the point of doing one video every single day. And I eventually got to that maybe after, 6 months, 7 months to a year, I think. But I was doing like a few videos per week, and they were all doing really well, connecting with an audience. Stayed really, really active within the producer community. I was always in other people's comments, other people's live streams.
Yeah.
And that's just the network. I just networked like that.
That's the work you've got to put in.
Yeah.
You have to get yourself known, don't you? Make yourself known everywhere to whatever it takes. Like, You were posting consistently every day for how many months? Like
I'm still posting every day.
12.
I think it's been like a year and a half straight that I've posted every day. And yeah, so
I think when actually filming every day, or will you film a chunk one day and then schedule them out?
Sometimes I'll do that. Yeah, so sometimes when I was like really tight on time, when I was like first starting out one a day, I would like kind of bulk record and then edit as, you know, if I was like out of the studio over the weekend, I would have a bunch to edit in my Google Drive folder. Now I think I just have so many different things going on that I have videos that I might have posted on TikTok that I can now repurpose for Instagram because it's, you know, it's been like a week or two since I've posted it on TikTok or whatever. Yeah. Now it's like, it seems like a lot easier now because I think I'm just in the groove. I'm more confident with the content that I put out.
Right.
I'm just more in the flow of things. So I don't really have to like pre-record a bunch of content anymore. I think I just have so many things going on that I can, you know, post at any given time. And then because Instagram is so fast paced, people miss content. So a post from a year ago, I might be able to either repurpose, like refilm, redo the voiceover, or just like repost the entire video. And it's new to a lot of people. So I'm at the point now where it's not hard to put content out at all for me.
Yeah. I suppose Instagram's a bit different to YouTube in that sense. Like if you re-upload the same YouTube video, people might notice that. You can repurpose it and like redo the same kind of stuff, but I guess Instagram's a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with YouTube, you could kind of, you could go on the same topic you might have a year ago and kind of flip the video a little bit. You could kind of base it off that. But re-uploading the same video, you can't, because the content on YouTube is pretty much like evergreen. It'll just live. It lives forever. Somebody could stumble on your video 5 years from now through a suggested side column.
Man, I get suggested some random shit sometimes, like nothing to do with music. It could be like a 10-year-old video. I think one the other day that just popped up out of nowhere was it was someone, I don't know why I clicked on it either. It was just someone on a balcony in Russia in the freezing cold, pouring water over the balcony, and it's just freezing as he's pouring it. I'm like, why is this recommended to me like 10 years later?
That's
wild. Now it's got like 10 million views. I'm like, I'd never know how the algorithm like properly works. It just woke up one day and decided I'm going to make this Russian video viral. It's crazy.
Yeah, who knows how that thing works, man? It's wild. But that's the beauty of YouTube. They all have their different pros and cons, you know. But YouTube has that longevity. A post can live for a long time.
How do you think your content's changed from when you first started posting on Instagram to now? Because I know with like TikTok and Reels, it seems like maybe everyone's attention span is getting shorter and shorter and they just want quick and snappier information. Have you kind of found that? Have you kind of changed your content along the way?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I've kind of like went with the TikTok trends on some things and the way they edit their videos on TikTok and kind of implemented that into Instagram and the Reels side of things. Yeah. But you know, I think over the last couple of years, I've just made my content a little bit more fast paced, a little bit more like if you go back to some of my old videos, there's a lot of dead air in them, and I've kind of like trimmed out a lot of that dead air. Some people say like sometimes I'll post a video and it might be too quick because I just try to jam a bunch of information into a 1-minute video. But that just, you know, that's how it is sometimes. Every video can't be perfect, especially like when I'm putting one out every single day. But
of course, it
definitely has changed.
Information into a little clip.
Yeah,
it's like 20-minute YouTube videos for that same thing, but for you to cram it into 1 minute, it must be quite tough.
Yeah, I think that's where I filled a void on Instagram. When I started doing it, there really wasn't any videos like that on Instagram. And I think that's why people connected with it, because we're in this world now, and it's not just because of TikTok, it's because of social media in general. With TikTok, I think it's gotten even more fast paced and more like shorter attention span based content. But
definitely,
it was already headed in that direction. I think that's why TikTok is doing so well. But so I think it was already going in that direction, and people were looking for that short content. Some people didn't have the time, and then in that moment to spend 15 minutes to watch a YouTube video, because there are people that are specifically YouTube people that watch and consume YouTube all the time. And then there's other people that don't utilize the platform like a lot of other people do. And they'd rather get their information from Instagram or Twitter or whatever in a more short, like fast-paced video. So that's what I think.
You need some good time on your hands, don't you? You need to be like, it could be before bed, when you get home from work, just a relaxing time. It's like, right, I've got 20 minutes to watch this video. But with Instagram, it could be someone wanting to learn whilst they're at work on a quick break, or they're on the toilet or something. They just need some quick information. So it makes sense.
I know for me personally with Instagram, I'm watching it. Obviously, I'm on it all day. But with YouTube, I find myself not watching YouTube videos until I'm at home. Until, with me, I have kids. So the kids are in bed and it's just me chilling. That's when I watch YouTube, when I have that time.
Right.
During the day, I'm in the studio, I'm creating content, I'm working on videos, I'm on Instagram, or I'm doing emails, I'm doing whatever, I'm making beats, making melodies. So I don't really have the time to sit down and watch a 10, 15, 20 minute YouTube video.
Yeah.
So I think that's, I think a lot of people can relate to that. That's why, Instagram is that during the day thing. Like you said, they're on a break, they're on lunch, they're on the toilet,
100%.
Yeah.
Do you think there's still a space for people right now to start an Instagram page for FL Studio tutorials? Do you think there's still space? Because it seems like you got in at a perfect time. You were like the OG of doing those. But now you see more and more every day, don't you? But you still think it's a good technique, like a good process for people to start something like that?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think if you have, I think what's going to make people stand out is the branding. So somebody, like, you could start an FL Studio tutorial page, but is it going to last? You got to ask yourself these questions, like, what's going to make you stand out from somebody else? What's going to make you stand out? It's going to be the branding. It's going to be the person behind it. It's going to be the personality. That's what's going to make you stand out. That's the same thing with YouTube. There's a lot of producers on YouTube right now, and I'm not sure exactly when you started, but I feel like recently I started seeing you pop up a lot within the last year.
I only started about a year ago, just over a year. So
exactly, like, if you could have said the same thing, like, who wants to start, but you have your little niche. You do the drill content, and you do it really well. You have your brand, your personality, and that's what people connect with. There's other people that are doing drill content right now, but they watch you because you're you.
Yeah, that makes sense. And people learn from, people always have like that one kind of tutor or teacher that they go to who they just understand. Like, you could have, like, someone might understand me perfectly and be like, every time this guy explains something, I just understand it, I get it. But then someone else might not really fuck with it, but then they go to someone else. So it's like, I feel like anyone, if they're thinking about starting a channel, they should just 100% do it, because you never know, you never know who's going to be fucking with you. There's always going to be someone. But you're right. The more you actually get your face out there and just be yourself and, stay consistent with it, I think there's definitely opportunity.
Yeah, man.
There's people.
Yeah, there was a big, controversial, tweet with Cody where he said, if you're not showing your face as a producer, you basically, you're not going to make it. I'm not quoting the tweet exactly, but if you're not showing your face, you're going to have a really hard time. You're going to have a really hard time, because those days are kind of over, where 5 years ago or 10 years ago with, I feel like, Johnny Giuliano is a good example. I think he shows himself a lot now, but back in the day, I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't know what a lot of those producers look like. Their content just blew up though. They were everywhere. It was just a voice behind everything. But it's a lot harder, because it's harder to compete, because there are so many producers that are willing to show their face, show their personality, that it's hard for producers to come up without doing that. There's people that do it and do it really well, without showing their face, but you have to really be different about it. You have to really get creative.
It feels like at one point, the role of a producer was mainly behind the scenes, wasn't it? you never really knew who the producers of tracks were, apart from like the huge names like Timbaland. But now it's like the producer is almost the artist. Like people are going to the producer because, you know, they want to fuck with their brand and their beats. Like the whole role has just changed. Like the whole producer role has changed 100%.
Yeah, man. Producer is, you know, sometimes the producer is the bigger one on the record.
Yeah.
And the producer is bringing it in, like somebody like DJ Khaled or, you know,
the beats
where they create, you know, DJ Mustard, they create the album and they put the whole thing together, and they're the one that really drives the whole record.
Yeah.
It's a different game now.
Just beats.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Because a lot of people, even people that message me and probably people that message you as well and say like, you know, how can I get my beats out there? How can I get known as a producer? And then whenever you look at their profiles, it's just images of beats. It's just, you've done like what's the plugin called on FL Studio? The Z Game Visualizer. You just got a couple of visualizers of beats and you're just posting them every day. When there's so many people doing that. So if a rapper's going on your page, like how are they going to remember you amongst all the other producers that are doing that exact same shit?
Yeah, exactly, man. The competition is fierce right now for producers because everybody wants to be a producer. It seems like there's more people that want to be producers than that want to be artists. So it's really, the competition is crazy. So you gotta do something to stand out. And people that ask those questions, it's tough. It's tough for me to answer, you know, without sounding like rude, but just watch what we're doing. Watch people like you, watch people like me, like Curtis King. Like if you really just truly watch what we're doing and you kind of like break it down and reverse engineer like what we're doing and kind of mold that into your own branding, you'll eventually get it. You know, some people that ask those questions are not, I don't think are like looking at what they're putting out there. Of course, and they just want an easy answer. You know, people just want an easy answer. I mean, it is kind of easy when you think about it. Like, just watch what people are doing. Copy it to a certain extent, but make it original.
Implement your own style.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. Because I was doing the same. Like, before I started the channel, I was just obsessed. Like, I knew I wanted to do it, but I wanted to study it properly. So I was just watching other channels. I was watching your content, watching people like Chucky Beats, Busy Works Beats, listening to all the Producer Grind podcasts, and just absorbing everything. And then after a while, it just clicks. It's like, oh shit, this actually makes sense. I know what to do now. I just need to get my face out there anyway.
Yeah,
like just
that's what happened with me too, bro. I was just consuming. Simple, it? Yeah, it's all about consuming the content too. Right. Like, just if you're consuming it every single day and just getting all the other stuff out of there, like you follow, because everything right now is social media driven. We're always in our phones. So what you consume is what you're going to be eventually. Definitely. If you're following a bunch of fight pages and a bunch of negative accounts, you're going to become that. You're going to become that eventually, or at least the part of you is. If you're following a bunch of positive producer content and you're watching or a bunch of other positive content, you know, a bunch of pages that are maybe not even producer driven, just they're motivational, but they're positive, you're eventually going to become that, because I think we're on our phones so much these days that you're going to become what you consume. You are. It's just right. It is what it is.
It always confuses me when people say, oh no, like I hate social media. Social media is so negative. It makes me depressed. But you control what you see to a certain extent on Instagram. Like if what you're seeing is depressing you and making you feel uncomfortable or making you feel negative, then unfollow all of those pages, even if it's people in your personal life, if they're not benefiting you in a certain way. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but you're just looking through Instagram and you're seeing everyone living like a nice life and you're like, oh, I don't have this life. Unfollow all these people and just start following the shit that you can learn from, benefit from, and make you feel a certain way. And then when you're scrolling through Instagram, like you said, you're not going to have those emotions, are you? Because everything that you look at is just positive images and you start becoming what you see.
You create your own algorithm. So at some point, that's the, you know, that's how these platforms are made. They're made to show you what they think you're going to like. Yeah. So if you're following a bunch of, you know, negative accounts or accounts that are just, you know, constantly making you feel jealous all the time or negative all the time, they're showing that to you for a reason. It's because they know that you watch it. They know that you're looking at it all the time. So like you said, unfollow all the bullshit. that's making you feel a certain way.
It's exactly what I did when I first had my Instagram account. I just, you end up just following random pages in the beginning, don't you? And then at a certain point, I just went through my whole following and just got rid of like everyone, even people in my personal life, like maybe some people that I thought were friends but didn't really benefit me, weren't really supportive. I just got rid of everyone. I'm like, right, I'm controlling what I'm going to see now.
Yeah.
And it helps. It definitely helps.
For sure.
So I also wanted to talk about the course that you had with Curtis King, because I've seen that pop up a few times. How did that come about?
I started getting like really cool with Curtis. We did a few collabs. We got connected. I think it was just like me popping up in a lot of his live streams, and he would like, shout me out here and there. And then I forget initially how we connected, but I think Steven from Cymatics at one point, because I work with them a lot, and he did a podcast. I think that's where the connection was. We both did the podcast around the same time, within the same few months. We did the Cymatics podcast, and I think we connected through Steven, really. And then like he was like, "Yo, you guys should collab." And we were doing a few like free collabs where we were coming up with some packs, drum kit here and there, and we did some free content for the community. And then we were just kind of bullshitting on phone calls here and there. And Steven one day, I think, suggested to Curtis King that we should do a course together. And he's like, "Yo, that's a great idea. We've both been involved with FL Studio for over 15 years each." I feel like, and he had already come out with courses in the past. I had never done a course ever, and I knew that's the direction that I was kind of headed towards. And it was a kind of like no brainer for me. He was so cool to work with, still is, really good friend. We would have conversations on the phone for a while, just bullshitting. And the idea came about, and I was like, "Yo, I'm totally 100% down for it. Let's do it." He had already done a beginner's course for FL Studio, so we didn't want to go in that direction. So we went with the advanced side of things. So we did a more advanced FL Studio course, and it did really well. It's still doing really well. It's helping a lot of producers. I still get, DMs to this day, and we came out with it over a year ago. Still get people that say they're signing up for it, how much they learned from it. So it's really made a connection, made an impact, I think.
What are the main things in the course? Is it more about like producing, or is it the effect sides, mixing, or is it a mix of both? It's
got a mix of both, really. It's got a lot of sampling stuff in there. It's got a lot of melody creation. I even did a whole, I think like 45 minutes to an hour long section just on recording into FL Studio. Cause like I explained earlier, like with engineering and everything, I do everything and still do everything inside of FL Studio. Yeah. So a lot of producers want to kind of transition into that. They want to, and it's a good way to create a side hustle, just like I did. So if you're familiar with FL Studio already and you make beats in it, why start a new program? It's just as good in my eyes. You might hop over a few more hurdles here and there, but it's the same thing with any DAW. So there's a whole section in there about recording, mixing, and mastering vocals inside of FL Studio. It really touches on everything. Touches on everything on the advanced side, like intermediate to advanced sort of thing. We don't really, we don't go over the basics, like what this knob does. Stuff. Yeah. It's not like what this section is, what the channel rack is. Like we go through more advanced topics.
Yeah. I feel like at this point, like everyone kind of knows the basics, or not everyone, because there's new producers every day, but there's a lot of beginner content out there. But even people that have commented on my videos or messaged me, they said that they're looking for like more advanced stuff. So I can imagine it's done quite well.
Yeah. It has. It's still doing well, which, for my first course, it surprised me. I was, Curtis King kind of like led the way on it too. Cause like I said, I was totally brand new to the whole thing. So
he'd done a few in the past as well. So
he had done like a YouTube. Yeah. He had done like a YouTube course and another FL Studio course. So he was well versed in it. So I kind of I learned a lot from him too. So I'm going to be doing more courses soon, like real soon actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Have you got a date set for them, or can you speak on it much?
No date right now, but I literally, that call that I said that I have after this podcast is with somebody about the course. So like we're getting ready.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So getting ready to, I have all the topics. I have everything outlined. It's pretty much like ready to get filmed. But I just want to get everything set first, and then I say within the next like month or two should be out.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. So we've got that to look forward to. I need to check out the first course as well, because like I was saying, I'm always looking for new information. Even
I'll send it to you.
I'm like, I appreciate that, man.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you just mentioned in that call, I guess you have to go in a minute. So if you need to, you can hop off. But yeah, bro, I really appreciate you coming on. I didn't want to keep you too long.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on, bro, for real. I love your content. I love what you're doing.
Appreciate that, man, honestly. And yeah, just for anyone that doesn't have you on socials, or for anyone that hasn't heard of you, just let them know where they can find you. If, he's got the course coming up, so make sure you look out for that. But just let everyone know where they can find you too. Yeah,
you can find me at Larry O with 2 H's, so LARRYOHH on everything. And you can go to yahelpme.com.
Yahelpme.com. Got it. All right, I appreciate you, man.
All right, I appreciate you too, man. Thank you.